we don't maybe give the Ranger Flyer rivalry the respect it deserves. We always in 2025 we talk about obviously the Battle of Alberta. We talk Toronto, Montreal, Islanders, Rangers. But there was a time Flyers Rangers was crazy, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, no question about it. I remember when the Flyers had won the Cups and Fred Shero, their coach, came to the Rangers. And we ended up having to give the Flyers a first rounder. That first rounder became Ken Linsman, the Rat, and who was a terrific player. And so the first exhibition game at Madison Square Garden the following fall was against the Philadelphia Flyers. And one of the players playing for us was the guy that became the referee, Paul Stewart. And he's going to play for us in that game, and he must have bought I don't know how many tickets for all his family and everything. Anyway, the game starts. It's a pure six. It's in front of the Rangers bench. Everybody's going after each other. They're mad at the Flyers are really upset that Freddie Shero left them and came to the hated Rangers. And we loved Freddie, and he was our coach that got us to the Stanley Cup Finals. But anyway, Paul Stewart got tossed about a minute and a half in after buying all those tickets for his family, and that was something else. So those games were tough. They were really tough. Going into the Spectrum, the fans were right on the glass and yelling, throwing stuff at you, warm up. And Madison Square Garden was no peach either. I mean, they knew how to voice their opinion on a lot of different things with the Philadelphia Flyers. Personally, I loved it. It reminded me of playing junior hockey in Western Canada. When I played in Calgary for a team called the Centennials, we had to go play the Edmonton Oil Kings or the New West Bruins, who were bigger than the Atlanta Flames. They were giants. And then we had to go into a Medicine Hat with Lanny McDonald and Tommy Lyjak and Brad or Big Grizz McCrimmon and Bobby Gassoff. They were tough, man. These were battles. So when I got into the NHL, when we had games like that, I kind of was used to it. I kind of liked it. It made you really get into it. Your adrenaline flow and you're nasty and everything going. It was fun. It was great.
You just tweaked me to two of the great characters of the game in a playoff series: Coach Rangers Flyer McCammon versus Brooks, and that was when Herbie. That's when Herbie dubbed the Rangers the Smurfs, right?
That's when Bob McCammon called us the Smurfs.
Oh, so Bob McCammon called us. Sorry.
Yeah. We were playing an exhibition game. I think it was Atlantic City, and the benches were together with a piece of glass in between. And Bob McCammon, you guys know, I mean, he was a riot. He was funny. He was he just yappity yap, and then Herbie be walking up and down, looking at him and everything else. So it's an exhibition game. So McCammon's going after our guys. So I stood up and I leaned against the glass, made myself as big as possible so McCammon couldn't see the other end of the ice. I was leaning out over the glass and he couldn't see our bench, and he starts on me. And then I turned to him and I went, "Ah!" And he looks at me and I says, "That's a hell of a goddamn horse's blanket you're wearing for a sports coat." And his whole bench breaks up. He starts laughing. Oh, it was an exhibition game, but that's what we did back in those days. It was something else. You guys are jarring my memory here.
No goalie coaches then either.
No.
People would be surprised.
First one I had was in New York, and it was Wayne Thomas. After he retired, they kept him on as the goalie coach, and here, him and I, we used to drink beer together and go out and on the road and have some fun
coaching.
and have dinner.
That's good coaching.
Yeah. And then he's got me on the ice early, making me do all these goalie drills. He went on to be fantastic.
Yes.
He worked a lot with a guy by the name of Warren Strelo, who was with Washington and then went to San Jose. He was Herbie Brooks' goalie guy. And he and Wayne worked together, and Wayne became just really, really good at what he did. Really good. And those guys were valuable people as part of their teams. I remember Warren Strelo had I can't remember what goalie it was, but he kept losing his balance. And they kept working with him for different drills and this and that. And Warren was in the locker room late one afternoon. The players are all gone, and he took the skates, the goalie skates, and he figured they weren't as flat as they should be. They were just a little bit off. And that created the imbalance for the goaltender on the ice and why he was falling back all the time. You know, he had to find the answer, and he found it. he was a terrific. He was the 1980. I think the 1980 coach too.
Yeah, he was
with the club. Yeah,
he was.
How did you guys improve your game and develop then, and in the era of Bernie and Ken and Ed Jockman before? Like,
you just played. You just played, and if your partner had more experience than you, you'd talk things over. But you played. That's all you did was you just played, practiced and played, practiced and played. You know, back the goalie coach thing. I often look at it and go, "Geez, I wish I had that 3 or 4 years earlier." I really do, and that would have really made a lot of difference.
How is it?
Just structurally how you play the game. Like as I said earlier in the show, I was 27 or 28 years old when I figured out less is more, where I didn't have to go make that big save, go sliding and this and that. Just move, just subtle movements, and the puck ended up hitting me. And I figured that out late. And I watch kids now. I have a grandson that's a goalie here in St. Louis. He's been doing it for a year, and he's already made this AA travel team. They were in Chicago for 4 games this weekend. They got 7 out of 8 points. But
Grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. No, I stay away. I had to buy the equipment. But you know who he's had out with him a few times, work with him? Thomas Grice, the former goaltender. Yeah, wow. He's here in St. Louis. Could you imagine being 9 years old and having Thomas Grice out there?
Wow.
I mean, I was lucky to be able to tie my own skates.
Yeah.
So when you were playing, the first big coach you had, Emil Francis, was an old goalie, but he played the position when it was totally different than when you. Yeah. So the coach wouldn't. I mean, who would talk to you? Anybody?
My junior coach was a guy. He's famous back in Calgary, Scotty Monroe, tough as nails. That was one thing about junior hockey back then out west, was the coaches in each city that. Ernie McLean, Wild Bill Hunter up in Edmonton. They had Cement Shoes, Benny Haskin in Winnipeg. Patty Janelle up in Flin Flon. It was remarkable with all those guys. But the big thing back then, and he used to yell at me, "Stay on your feet. Don't fall down. You look like," and drilled it and drilled it and drilled it. Other than that, that was it. That was it.
Do you think they actually thought that? Well, they thought that was better, but do you think they actually knew that was better, or it was just stay on your feet?
That's just the way it was back in those days. Yeah, back in those days, that's just what it was. And nowadays, heck, with a video and you're able to watch other goalies play and the way they all handle the puck. Now, even the European goaltenders come in and handle the puck pretty good now compared to back in the day when there was no chance. So it's been a remarkable change over the last. Well, it's been a long time too, but it's good. I think really good goalie coaches are invaluable. I'd even have more than one per organization. I'd have one that would go travel and scout goalies all over the world. You know, it's that important. You find that one guy.
Goalie departments are big, and more and more teams have them.
Benoit Laird in New York, all those years. Look at all the goalies he's had over the years. Mm-hmm. And even the ones that were not stars, but good goalies, he made every single one of them better. Every one of them. And you hear them later in their careers say, boy, did he ever help me. You know, because when you can get that extra 2 or 3 or 4 years in your career, that's a lot of money in the bank to stake your future.
Well, you get a business. They become an asset for you too.
Absolutely. And trade value, yeah, sure. But I mean, you think of their goaltenders over the years. It's been a remarkable situation. It was like Edmonton for all those years when Glenn Sather and the guys were running it with Grant Fuhr and Andy Moog and Billy Ranford and others. I mean, that's a pretty good run. Stabilizes your franchise.
So who's the best? I mean, I'll give you who's the top 3 goalies in the game today? Are they all Russian? Are they all Russian?
Well,
you look at Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, and he's not Russian.
You said, are they all Russian? I'm like, well,
Hellebuck's a remarkable goalie, but he hasn't gotten over the hump yet. Like Bobrovsky was a heck of a goalie. He never got over the hump. Now he's over the hump. So yeah, I think those 3 are without question. The 3, and I know all 3 of them work. You know, you think of the great goalies over the years, Dominic Hasek and Patrick Waugh. Patrick Waugh was a scientist. Mm-hmm. I remember talking to him in the Stanley Cup Finals about a goal he let in, and he was mad because his catching glove, was here. And the puck went up under the bar. He says, if my glove was there, that puck would have hit my glove and not gone under the bar. And I'm going, geez, when I played, I just happy to have my glove out there somewhere, let alone where it's supposed to be. You know, he was, and he worked at it. Dominic Hasek was one of the hardest working goalies I've ever seen. We used to go into games and get up there in the booth to broadcast. We'd count the shots he'd have in warm up, and he'd let 3 or 4 in out of 120. Whatever the numbers are. That's just how much and how he chased it, how much he wanted it.
And take breakaways and warm up. Who does that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Mike Richter, he was one of the last stand-up goalies, too. He was a side-to-side goalie, remarkably quick, great big thighs on him to be able to do that. It's like, you have to go with what your strengths are, but the work habits have to be there for you as a goalie to become a great goalie. And I can tell you right now with Bobrovsky, because he was with us a long time in Columbus, it got to the point where he was a pain, because after games, if you had to rush out to head to the airport, he'd be the last guy out because he's still in there riding the bike and doing this and doing that and after the games. And then we're all sitting on the bus like this going, when's he coming? We got to go. But give him credit, man. He's really developed into a winner, hardest working guy. He may be the hardest worker I've ever seen regarding goaltenders.